Under our third caution here at the Budweiser Shootout in Daytona. Our Sears race summary: Dave Blaney in a Toyota, our current leader. Dale Earnhardt Jr., who won this event in 2003, was the first segment leader, just like he was back then. Jeff Hammond?
Yeah, take a look right here. We watched the 2 car of Kurt Busch right there in the middle on lap 36. He and David Gilliland in the 38 car. They got together, which eventually sent Kurt Busch to pit road. But in this recent caution, eventually it cost him on a right front tire. He got in the outside wall, and he's now out of the race. See the contact one more time between those 2 cars.
It was about an 8 to 10 minute gap there, and Kevin Harvick observing with us, learning some things along the way. What's catching your eye at this point?
Well, I think the biggest thing that's catching my eye is you don't obviously want to be in the middle. It seems like you go straight back, but the fact that these guys are backing up, obviously getting a run, is a lot more effective than it was with the old car. Obviously, we used to do that, but the way that the 88 got by earlier, got by Blaney, was he backed up going about a quarter of the way through the corner, and then he just drove around him on the outside. You could see him set it up the lap before.
All right, let's rejoin Darrell, Larry, and Mike.
Inside of 20 laps to go, Chris. We're getting set for the restart. All restarts double file. The Bill Davis Toyota for Dave Blaney, and then 3 Hendrick cars: Dale Jr., Casey Mears, Jimmy Johnson, Reed Sorensen, Jeff Gordon, Kenny Schrader, Tony Stewart, Carl Edwards, and Mark Martin are the top 10.
Let's make note. Tommy Bowen Jr., the crew chief for Dave Blaney, like Kenny Schrader, elected to go with just 2 right side tires on that 22 car. That's how they won the battle off pit road, DW.
Yeah, that's a gamble, but that's a fast race car too, so it's not going to hurt him for a few laps.
David Gilliland has gone to the garage, joining Martin Truex, Jamie McMurray, Bill Elliott.
I just don't know that. I think I'd want my best hand right now, because you're going up against the Hendrick cars that are mighty, mighty strong. Don't handicap yourself with those 2 tires.
I know one thing. I normally do it at the beginning of the races, but you better reach up there and pull those belts tight, really tight now. 19 to go.
Business is getting ready to pick up.
18 to go as they cross the line. And Blaney trying to establish a little distance out here. Usually that's a bad thing if you get a gap on the field, because they'll run you down in a hurry.
Especially up on that outside, the 88 and the 24 and the 48, they're working good high. Got good momentum off of 2, and here they come.
You got those 3 Hendrick cars on the outside, and then you got the other Hendrick car, Casey Mears, in the 5 car, who's been right there for a number of laps. I think this will be a breakout year for Casey Mears in that 5.
Right now, old Junebug's sitting there hanging, singing, "Follow me, I'm the Pied Piper."
And they will for a little bit.
Come on, boys.
Matt?
Mike Dale Jr. told Tony Jr. the preferred lane near the end is going to be up high just because of the tire wear. He also said, count me down, 15 laps, 10 laps, so that way I can start to make my moves, plan out my run to the finish.
Almost 4 wide in the back of the pack there. You see Kenny Schrader's 49, losing a spot to Carl Edwards, who's trying to get back to the front in the Office Depot 99. Oh, trouble. Clint Boyer got a nudge and hung on toward the back of the field.
Let me tell you, that big old wing, you got to be pretty sideways to lose one of these things.
Because he drove right out of it.
Yeah, the 07 almost went around.
I'm not sure when they put that on there they knew what it was going to do ultimately, but that thing was gone. You see it right here.
Denny Hamlin in the 11 got such a run off turn 2, and it's almost like Clint had to roll out of the throttle just a little bit. What a run he got on him.
Boy, and they were 4 wide for an instant right there.
But I tell you, we just heard Kevin Harvick talk about it, how much these cars will just get a suck behind that other car and just lunge toward it.
Well, they've got so much more horsepower now, and this is what the drivers have been asking for. Give us some acceleration. Don't make me run over that guy in front of me. Give me something I can work with.
Well, these new cars, this car of today, pokes a bigger hole in the wind. It's 4 inches wider, 2.5 inches taller, so it's going to create a bigger draft behind it.
And that's why they have a little more power. NASCAR gave them a little bigger restrictor plate under the carburetor.
But like the old car, you had to hold it wide open. If you ever lifted it, it took too long to get going again. This car, you can play with the throttle and maintain your speed.
Mark Martin in car number 8. The Army car has joined the Hendrick trio of Earnhardt Jr., Johnson, and Gordon on the outside. Downstairs, it's Tony Stewart and Dave Blaney.
And we see a few cars that look like when they're on fresh tires, they're able to hang with the front guys. But as it goes along, some of those guys fall back.
How about that brick Jimmy Johnson said he has? I guess they polished on it a bit.
I believe they have, because there he is right behind Dale Earnhardt Jr., Jimmy Johnson, the 48 car.
Krista, pretty good brick.
Very good brick. You took the words right out of my mouth, Mike. I said, somehow this brick has become chiseled into a bit of a missile. Remember, this is a short track car, too. This backup was the Richmond car from last year of Jimmy Johnson. It was scheduled to go to Nashville to test on Monday and Tuesday. Well, instead of country music, it's won a trip to sunshiny Florida looking for a Bud Shootout win. Jimmy Johnson, a former winner in this event.
Well, I know what a guy told me one time. He said, boy, that car don't have no idea where it is.
I'll tell you who's happiest about this turn of events is Brett Bodine, the former competitor in the Cup Series, who is now NASCAR's Director of Cost Containment. One of the hopes for the COT platform is that you could take a car and run it anywhere. Jimmy Johnson proving that here tonight.
Well, I think here probably more than any place else, well, more than Talladega for sure, a Hamlin car, a good car with downforce is what you want to race with. You'd like to have two cars here, one to qualify, one to race.
13 laps to go, and still the first 18 cars are all tied together.
And we saw Jimmy Johnson in that 48 car giving his teammate Dale Earnhardt Jr. a little bump draft, front bumper to rear bumper, then he backed off when they got to the corner.
But you saw them exit too, and nobody is running as high on the track as Junior is.
And we saw that at Talladega. When he gets that thing working and he gets it right up next to the wall, he can make time around a racetrack.
And I believe Stewart has a strong race car. He just can't get a line behind him like he needs to work that bottom.
Let me know when Jeff gets clear if we can get to the bottom, but we might not want to. 10-4, he's still side by side with the 20th.
Teamwork, man. He's talking about, that's Dale Jr. talking about Jeff Gordon. I think he's a little concerned that he's leaving that bottom open for Stewart and Blaney to get up there and mess him up. So he wants to be able to go the bottom if he has to.
There's Matt on the leader.
DW, that's exactly what Dale Earnhardt Jr. just said on the radio. He said, let me know when Jeff Gordon is clear of Stewart. So in case we want to go to the bottom, we might not want to do it, but in case we want to, we can.
Well, Kevin Harvick, it looks like everybody watched your Daytona 500 DVD and saw how working your way around the outside can get you to victory lane.
Well, you just get that momentum coming off the corners. You know, there's kind of a hill as you come down off of those corners. But if you notice that he's also, and Darrell can probably relate to this, there's a lot of bumps way up next to the wall. As he goes through 1 and 2, he's going to be like a lane down, and it's not quite as bumpy because if you get way up there, the bumps might send you up into the fence. But notice he's not as high as Dale Jr. normally is because there's so many bumps up there. And as he goes through 3 and 4, there's bumps on the bottom, and he'll kind of run up top and then kind of diamond it back to the middle, going around all those bumps.
And after this many laps, you know where every bump is. And you know how you want to hit it.
Yeah, and with these cars, as the handling gets worse, you want to go over as few bumps as possible to keep the thing straight.
I'd be worried if I was Junior, and I think this is the position he's in. He doesn't want to leave Jeff. He doesn't want to leave Jeff and Jimmy out there to drive. But here comes Stewart and Blaney on the bottom, and this is what he was afraid of, I think.
They just keep fighting and clawing at the bottom of this racetrack.
10 laps to go. Darrell, from this point on, you have no friends.
No, if there may be a caution for gloves, and I'm talking about boxing gloves.
Reed Sorensen last time by got a piece of the wall coming off turn 2. Now he had been running in the top 5. He's back to 7th. Watch the 41 way up high behind Denny Hamlin. Second black car in the picture. Little scrape.
Yeah, and Mark in the Army car really caused. He took all the air off of Reed's car and it just shoved out and scraped the wall.
There goes Stewart. He jumped up behind Dale Earnhardt Jr. down the back straightaway and just drove by him for the lead. 9 to go this time.
I think that was the big fear that Junior had. I think he knew Stewart was laying back there, but he didn't want to mess up his teammates. Now he's got his hands full.
Biggest recovery of this race. Kurt Busch, car 2, down on the inside. Had to make a pit stop to pull the fender. Lost a lap. When the caution came out for Gilliland, he got the free pass, got back on the lead lap. He's up in 4th place.
You don't reckon he would like to get up there and say hello to Mr. Stewart, do you?
I'm sure he'd love to get in this little old fight up there.
Well, it's sure shaping up like he might be able to.
Jimmy Johnson in the 48 just jumped right down in front of him. He sees maybe that inside line starting to move.